This is a presentation of Fox Sports, Learfield IMG College, and Gator Vision.
Welcome to Eye on the Gators. I'm Ted Spiker. Today we're going to meet the coaches of the men's and women's swimming and diving teams. We're going to get into the ins and outs of what it takes to be successful, as well as what makes one of the best swimmers in the world so special, plus a whole lot more. Up first, let's meet Anthony Nesty, head coach of the men's team.
So at the University of Florida, there's so much history and tradition of excellence, and that's with teams and with individuals. How do you define what your program is all about?
Well, the University of Florida is, like you said, it's one of the best programs out there. And for the history you have in swimming, we just won our 40th SEC title. It's not only swimming, it's also the academics side of it. The last 2 years, we were ranked top 10 in the country. So it's the complete package, academics, athletics, and it's the excellence of both.
The swimming, I think, is different from a lot of other sports in that it's year-round.
Obviously, the fall phase for us is kind of our work phase. That's where we put in all the volume, really good strength and conditioning, really good dry land. The focus is on making yourself the best athlete in the fall. Then our second phase is our championship season, which is the spring. Obviously, you're getting ready for the SECs, NC2As, and of course, after that, you head into your long course season, and that's kind of the last phase. And what we try to do there is, obviously, you're also switching from 25 yards to long course, 50 meters. So it's a little adjustment for everybody, but our kids, they're amazing. They're top-notch kids, and they're here to get better. They're here to put the program where it needs to be, and hopefully all that fits in to where you want it to be as far as the performances, and of course, hopefully those performances carry over in the summer.
So how does your own Olympic experience and success influence your coaching?
I don't try to talk too much about my swimming, but how I help the kids out is, I've been there and I've done it. So any little facial expressions I've done as well. So I kind of know what they're thinking, what they're feeling. I'm happy that I was a swimmer in the past, so I kind of know what they're going to on a day-to-day basis. And the really good athletes, the communication that you must have with your coach, and which I had with my coaches way back when. And it's kind of imperative for high performance.
For recruiting, you're looking at obviously times and talent, but I'm sure there's a bunch of intangibles.
For recruiting, I look for not necessarily the best kids, but you're looking for the right kids. Good character kids, good work ethic, good students, because University of Florida is getting more competitive academically year in, year out. So coming into this environment and balancing both, it takes a special person to do that. So I look for good people who are willing to go the extra mile in anything they do. The biggest thing for me is how big their heart is as well. Sometimes you can't measure that, but you can see it, how they train, how they conduct themselves, and of course, how they race.
What makes Caleb Dressel so dominant?
Well, he's a special athlete. He's very athletic. He is a student of the game, and he has fantastic, great feel for the water, and he's coachable. That's what you kind of want in an athlete. Guys that not only do the right thing in the pool, but also outside of the pool.
And what does it mean for the program to have someone like him be such a huge part of it?
I told somebody the other day, when you have a Caleb Dressel on the team, every meet you went to, everybody was waiting for something special to happen. And if you break 18 seconds, you're the first guy who has done it. People want information about the program because somebody that special going that fast. What do they do at Florida to make them go that fast? So we have a lot of inquiries of athletes throughout the country and the world because you don't have an athlete like that in any program but Florida. And a big part too of Caleb's success is the strength and conditioning here, the trainers keeping him healthy, the nutritionists helping him out, and also being a student here at UF as well. So it's a kind of complete package that highlights the importance of having good athletes in your program and having them succeed not only in the pool but also in the classroom.
Up next, we'll meet women's coach Jeff Poppell. We'll be right back.
The future's bright, and it's very exciting to think about, what we want to accomplish in the years to come. So I'm really excited about continuing the Gator tradition that's been here and been in place for such a long period of time. That gratification that you have in coaching and helping kids achieve things that maybe they didn't think was possible, the satisfaction you get as a coach, I think it's hard to emulate in any other profession.
Eye on the Gators, presented by Wells Fargo, is brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Florida Gators, by Gatorade, fueling today, fueling the future, and by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
To be successful, it's not just about sheer speed. Coach Poppell says it's about development as an athlete, as a student, and as a person. Let's take a look at what it takes for student athletes to manage the grind of competing not only at the college level, but nationally and internationally as well.
So certainly there's such a great tradition here with Gator swimming, both from an individual standpoint and a team standpoint. How do you define your mission?
I'm on my third year here at the University of Florida, first one as head coach, and there's such a strong tradition, as you mentioned before, going back to the 70s even, national champions, but not only that, our program has always been so much more than just collegiate swimming. It's even extended to the Olympic level. We've had a long tradition of Olympic medalists, Olympic champions, so my mission obviously and my role is to continue, obviously the tradition that was established many, many years ago relative to producing some of the top swimming and diving programs, in the country and athletes, obviously, they're competing at the highest level.
Now, you've been at several places. You've been at Arkansas, at the Bowl School, Gulliver Prep, and you mentioned your philosophies. What are those philosophies, and how have those experiences shaped your coaching style?
So much of the club coaching is around developing athletes, making them better. And when you're working from various ages, from young all the way up to seniors in high school when they go off to college, you're preparing them for that. So my mindset, transitioning from club into the college environment, which I did when I went to University of Arkansas, I was going to rely on my ability to develop athletes and make them better. And that doesn't always happen at every college program out there. And I really think it's the club experience that I've had and the background I've had beforehand that allows me to do that. As a coach, you should want to develop your student athletes and obviously build upon the background they have when they come in. So I've always relied on that quite a bit. So it's obviously evaluate the individuals when they come into your program, but at the same time trying to provide something to them that's going to allow them to improve further.
How did you know that you wanted to make this your career?
You know what? It's pretty funny. I actually went to another university in the SEC, the University of Georgia, and I was a business major. But I coached part-time with Greg Troy at the Bowl School. So I was doing both, and I was young at the time. And year after year, as I found myself in the sport of swimming as a coach, the gratification I felt was coming from coaching. It wasn't coming from banking, so to speak, and business. So that gratification that you have in coaching and helping kids achieve things that maybe they didn't think was possible, and help them reach their goals. I mean, the satisfaction you get as a coach, I think it's hard to emulate in any other profession.
You all are different than a lot of other sports in that you have your athletes competing nationally and internationally besides the NCAA season, so it's really a year-round grind for them. How do you have your athletes just continually grinding and training and going through multiple seasons?
Sure. Well, it's funny you say that, and that's kind of the one message that I always tell the athletes is, hey, swimming was a year-round sport before you came to college. It's still a year-round sport. It hasn't changed. So you're right. I mean, the NCAA season is a long season. I mean, I think of all the NCAA sports that are out there, there's very few that span both semesters of school, which we do. I mean, the kids arrive in August. They usually start off off with off-season training and captain's practices, and then we usually get into our regular season training the first week of September. And again, our NCAA championships are the third week of March, and we're out of school in April, the end of April. So it really spans the entire year. But then when our college season's over with in March and they end school in April, our athletes do continue on through the summer, as you mentioned before, because the U.S. National Championships are usually the end of July, beginning of August. And a lot of those national championships are meets in which they're picking international teams, athletes to represent the U.S. at the Olympics, Pan American Games, World Championships, you name it. And so many of our athletes, they're amongst the best of the best, nationally as well as internationally, have those aspirations and those goals. So it's not very, very difficult convincing the athletes that, hey, we got to keep training and obviously keep competing through the summer months. They understand it, they appreciate it, and they embrace it because, again, their goals are not just centered around collegiate swimming. It's also centered around, competing internationally, competing at the national level.
So swimming is like some sports and different than other sports in that the clock doesn't lie, right?
No.
There's no intangibles about working with a team and all of that. So
Sure.
I'm curious about the recruiting process, and certainly time is a big factor. But what else do you look for in student athletes as you're recruiting?
Well, I think a lot of it's about fit. I think it's about the right fit. So, Florida's a great academic school, top 10, public university, and so we're always looking for strong students. We have goals in the academic arena just as we do in the pool, without a doubt. We're looking for great character kids with great work ethics. Our program has always been built upon work. It always has, and that's not just work in terms of volume of training, but working doing things the right way. So we're obviously looking for kids that, I guess you would say, emulate those characteristics, and they come from good programs that share similar values. So those are things that we kind of look for in individuals coming in, and then the ones that obviously, I guess you would say, understand and appreciate the word team, and obviously the focus on team, because swimming is very much an individual sport. As you mentioned before, you're focused on the clock and improving your time. And in club swimming, before they arrive in college, it is just very much individual. But college swimming is a little different in that there's a huge team aspect and team chemistry piece of it as well. So obviously, as an individual coming into a college environment, it's very important that you have individuals that are going to buy into the team concept and understand it's not just about them obviously achieving things individually, but also helping those around them, their teammates, achieve success as well. I think it's equally as important.
When you look into the future of the program, what do you see?
The future's bright, and it's very exciting to think about, what we want to accomplish in the years to come. And like I said, with the individuals within the program right now, I think the sky's the limit. So I'm really excited about continuing the Gator tradition that's been here and been in place for such a long period of time, without a doubt.
When we return, we'll meet diving coach Bryan Gillooly.
There's always an opportunity for me to learn and be a better coach, because I owe that to my student athletes to be the best I can possibly be for them. Hopefully the discipline that you learned here as an athlete and some of the lessons you learned about progressing as a person will put you on the right track in the future.
This segment is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Welcome back to Eye on the Gators. Let's dive into what it takes to be the best off the board.
I grew up in the sport. I've been doing it now 34 years, either as a diver or a coach. It's been a long journey, always in Florida. Orlando is where I grew up. Miami is where I went to school. And I've had the opportunity to coach at FIU, FAU, and then now here at Florida. At this level now, it's only been 3 or 4 years at the University of Florida. So I still consider myself a young coach with a lot to learn. With all sports at the University of Florida, they're always at a high level, and swimming and diving is no exception. It's got a long legacy, and I'm just trying to continue on with that legacy. In every phase of the University of Florida since I got here, from day one, everybody I met are all top-level, passionate people about what they do. Everybody here wants to be the best at what they do in their particular field, coaches included, and we bring in the athletes that are gonna match that intensity, that passion. Everybody you meet, everybody is passionate about the University of Florida and about being the best at what they do at all levels, so it carries down through the athletes and the team's success in that. I always tell my student athletes when they're coming in recruits, if you're into diving a little bit, you're gonna hate it here, because they're going to be dealing with a bunch of people who want to be the best at what they can be and get them to be the best that they can be. But if you love diving, you love the sport, you love training, you are going to love this place, because that's what it's all about. When you're running together with the same vision and the same passion for what you're doing, it's a lot of fun and it's a great experience. And then you can really get far. We as coaches have to set that example that we're together and working together for one goal. So here we're going for team titles. We're not just going for individual diving titles. So our focus during the season is how many points can we score for the team. That's totally different. We're an individual sport 99% of the time. It's unique and special and it's a fun thing to be a part of. For me, diving is an endless opportunity to improve and progress. And to me, that defines happiness. So if you can get better at something every day, you're gonna be happy. Diving gives you an opportunity to do that. As a coach, the opportunity to progress is limitless. I'm always learning, I'm always trying to read, I can always get better, and that's never gonna end. I'm never gonna figure it out. You know, there's always an opportunity for me to learn and be a better coach. And I take it very, very seriously because I owe that to my student athletes to be the best I can possibly be for them. And I learn from everybody here. Everybody's the best at what they do. So if you're not gonna learn from that, you're not paying attention. So in 3 years, I think I've grown as a coach and as a person here more than ever in my life. I feel like I've gained about 15 years of knowledge being here. It's high intensity, can be high stress at sometimes, but that's what I signed up for. So it's an opportunity for me to improve as a person and as a coach at the same time. Ultimately, that's what it's all about because the sport ends, life goes on. You know, this is a very brief window that we get this opportunity to be athletes, student athletes. So really, at the end of the day, I try to be grounded in the life lesson that's gonna come out of it. I always think about, you know, getting over fears, getting out of your comfort zone, and you're gonna have to do that in your life if you wanna be successful. And I try to, you know, instill that in them in their practices every day. Hopefully the discipline that you learned here as an athlete and some of the lessons you learn about progressing as a person will put you on the right track in the future.
Up next, we'll meet the man who helps make these swimmers stronger.
Go get it! Stand! The outside world thinks, well, athletes just show up on campus and they perform well because they're a Gator, and it's the day-to-day work. I enjoy seeing these athletes do their best. As simple as that, regardless of whether they're walk-on or Olympian, I want to see them get better. I take a lot of pride in the Gator brand, not because we win, it's because everyone in every department that's associated with the Gator brand, we put the work in to win.
This segment has been brought to you by Gatorade. Fueling today, fueling the future. Eye on the Gators, presented by Wells Fargo, is brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Florida Gators, by Gatorade, fueling today, fueling the future, and by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Now, let's meet strength coach Matt Delancey and what he does inside and outside the weight room to help student athletes handle the highs and lows of a grueling season.
I picked up my first weight when I was 10 years old and always been my own strength coach. And when I went to school at East Stroudsburg University, I went for physical education and health. Kind of fell into the role of being a strength coach when I went and played football in Europe. So I was the D coordinator and the conditioning coach. And when I came back to the States, I went to Northern Illinois and did my master's work in exercise physiology and coaching, with a coaching emphasis. Came to the Gators for an internship and then got hired on and been here since 2002. I enjoy seeing these athletes do their best. As simple as that, regardless of whether they're walk-on or Olympian, I want to see them get better. So our women's swim team, for example, that group of juniors that we had this year, when they were freshmen, we had just kind of cleaned the slate with the team, 15 newcomers, we had a lot of sophomores, and that group didn't score a point at the NC2A meet that year, and they were 7th their freshman year, we were 7th their sophomore year, and now as juniors, that group finished 2nd. And watching that group of 15 women grow to what they are now as juniors and about to be seniors has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my career because nobody expected that group to be anything close to what they were this year. And now they're coming back as seniors with the most points returning in the conference and an opportunity to win the SEC meet. And that to me is one of the most rewarding experiences I've had as a strength coach with swimming. We have a lot of different hats. It's one of the more challenging roles when you get a kid that comes in the office and they might be in tears and it has nothing to do with their sport. And they chose you to unload on that day because they trust you. It always makes me appreciate what we do with these athletes because when you see that, you're like, okay, we were a little bit more than just their strength coach. The way I've always looked at it is, regardless of the athlete, they're going to go through their highs and lows. You're part of the lows, and then it makes the highs even better, you know? So you see that kid, you see them through their lows, and then when you see them working to get to the NCAA records, American records, in some cases with some athletes right now, world records and Olympic gold medals, it's a very rewarding moment to see them on the podium. This is my 5th Olympic quad with the Gators. I've worked with anywhere from 20 to 30 Olympians every quad. Caleb right now, who's here training with us, Caleb took Will Davis aside one time this year and had a conversation with him just about the art of sprinting, not about sprinting. So Will has a guy on campus who is 1763 and a 50, and Will looks up to that guy and wants to be a Caleb Dressel type athlete, and here's Caleb just giving away information to him to help him. So I think it's a huge benefit.
Go get it!
The outside world thinks, well, athletes just show up on campus and they perform well because they're a Gator, and it's the day-to-day work of everyone in every department that's associated with the Gator brand under the same roof. Because I think the mistake people make is, well, they're the Gators, of course they're gonna win. Well, it's because of the amount of work that's done here on a daily basis. I mean, there are people that put 12 to 16-hour days around this program, trying to help elevate it to the next level. I take a lot of pride in the Gator brand, not because we win, it's because we put the work in to win.
Thank you for joining us this week on Eye on the Gators. We'll see you next time.
This segment has been brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far. This has been a presentation of Fox Sports, Learfield IMG College, and Gator Vision.